Welcome to CCN News. I'm your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, February 24th. Trump speaks to a massive Indian crowd, mispronouncing almost everything. This week, the House is to vote on legislation to make lynching a federal hate crime. Clyburn posed to endorse Biden in big boost before South Carolina's primary. Ginny Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice's wife, leading the right-wing effort to purge officials disloyal to Trump. Trump Jr. granted permit to hunt grizzly bears in Alaska, and white supremacist group arrested for murder plot found to have more targets in mind than previously known. Let's get to the news. We like to give some breaking news, so here we go. Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein has been convicted of sexual assault and rape, but cleared on 2 other charges. Jurors began deliberation on Tuesday in a 4-week rape trial where prosecutors laid out evidence that the 67-year-old Weinstein had raped a woman in a Manhattan hotel room back in 2013 and forcibly performed oral sex on another back in 2006. They also heard testimony from an actress from who said she was raped in the mid-90s, but the statute of limitations had ran out in the case. Donald Trump addressed a massive public rally early Monday in India where he showered the country and its prime minister with praise, but reportedly struggled with the pronunciation. The 100,000-seat stadium in the state of Gujarat was reportedly at capacity by the time Trump arrived. He walked to the stage with Prime Minister Narendra Modi as the sound of the Village People's Macho Man rang out over the loudspeakers. Trump was cheered as he told the crowd that their country will always hold a special place in our hearts, and said that the PM, everybody loves him. I will tell you, he's a very tough man. The BBC News India kept a running total of the words Trump managed to mispronounce. The House is slated to vote this week on legislation that would classify lynching as a federal hate crime, paving the way for the bill to head to the president's desk. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, introduced by Bob Rush, a Democrat out of Illinois, is scheduled to come to the floor on Wednesday. This legislation is long overdue, but it is never too late to do the right thing and address these gruesome, racially motivated acts of terror that have plagued our nation's history. The Majority Leader Stanley Hoyer, Democrat out of Maryland, said in a statement. The legislation is named after Emmett Till, the 14-year-old African-American who was lynched back in 1955 in Mississippi. It comes nearly 120 years after the first House legislation to criminalize lynching was defeated in committee, and nearly a century after the House passed its first bill that would have made lynching a federal crime, but was filibustered in the Senate. House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, who wields enormous influence in his home state of South Carolina, is planning to endorse Joe Biden on Wednesday, multiple sources with knowledge of the Democrats' plan told Politico. The planned endorsement is expected 3 days ahead of the state's Saturday primary, giving Biden an important boost in a state that will likely determine the fate of his candidacy. Clyburn, the highest African American in Congress, has a close relationship with Biden and has been open about his affinity for the former vice president during the Democratic primary. A group of pro-Trump loyalist activists led by Ginny Thomas has reportedly compiled a list of disloyal government officials it wants to sack. It is alleged that Ms. Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, is a part of a network of conservative activists called Groundswells, which has close ties to Trump and his senior administration officials. Detailed memos are said to have been assembled by the group over the past 18 months. Citing a source close to her, U.S. news website Axios reports that Mrs. Thomas has passed the group's recommendations on to Donald Trump. One of the memos, written by Groundswell members, was of former District of Columbia U.S. Attorney Jessie Wu, who had her nomination for the top role of Treasury withdrawn by the president early this month. Donald Trump Jr., the president's eldest son, won a permit to hunt grizzly bears in Alaska, a wildlife conservation official confirmed. Ed Grasser, who served as the wildlife conservation director for the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, told the news agency that Donald Trump Jr. was one of 3 non-residents of the state to apply for a permit to hunt grizzly bears in the Seward Peninsula, a northwestern region in the state. There are only reported 27 spots for such permits designated for non-residents in that area. I mean, he couldn't find nothing else better to do? I'm just saying. Oh well, on to the next. The race joined the base. These were words printed on a recruiting flyer for the base, a white supremacist group in which 3 members were arrested earlier this year in connection to a plot to kill a Bartow County couple, overthrow the government, and start a race war. According to reports by the Atlantic Journal-Constitution, now new reports say that the couple from Bartow County were not their only targets. The AJC reported on Friday that Michael John Hellebrand, 25, Jacob Calderad, 19, and Luke Austin Lane, 21, had more targets in mind, including local journalists. Assistant District Attorney Emily Johnson identified Lane of Silver Creek, Georgia, as the ringleader and recruiter or the neo-Nazi organization in Floyd County, and she said that it was on his cell phone that she found evidence of additional targets, which not only included journalists but also a few members of the group. And once again, thank you for watching CCN News. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and as always, be the change you want to see. If you want change, the change starts with you. As always, please like, share, and subscribe, and leave comments below. I would like to hear what you think about these stories and more. All right, have a good day. Peace.